Thanks, Andy. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Gary O'Sullivan from Parcel Perform. I don't have a title anywhere near as cool sounding as Charlie's, so I'll keep that a secret. Um, yeah, keen today to talk to you all about the specifics of the delivery promise or your estimated delivery date, your EDD, and how ideally you can turn that into a real competitive advantage, especially with the use of AI. The next slide just gives you a quick overview of kind of who we are and what we do. So, Parcel Perform is a delivery experience platform. It takes the form of four modules built around our AI decision intelligence kind of brain that really powers all of these. So, we've post-purchase module, which includes tracking widgets, notifications, campaign managers. There's our super sexy logistics, carrier connectivity, label generation, all that fun but vitally essential stuff. There's returns, which unexpectedly handles returns from consumers back to all of our retailers. And then checkout, like we'll talk about today. Checkout is where we really focus on the EDD, having responsive real-time predictions based off of live data from both yourselves and across the wider network, powered through AI intelligence, like we mentioned. Next slide, just give you an overview of what we're going to go through quickly. So we really want to focus on what is the kind of core anxiety, as we've put it, the where is my order question from your consumer. I'll then touch on what we're calling our lifts. So three or four opportunities for you to really improve the consumer journey, the delivery promise, and that kind of post-purchase expectation for your consumer. So we have a clarity lift, urgency lift, the loyalty lift, and then of course the ability to test through A/B testing. If we move into the core anxiety, where is my order? I think obviously we're a bit of a biased crowd. Everyone here is very familiar with the industry, but we also wear the other hat where we're also consumers. And I think when you look at the post-purchase experience and the promises being set as retailers, it's really important to bear in mind the consumer's priorities at all times. It's worth kind of being aware of these four key questions that we've identified. When understanding your EDD's impact, do you fully grasp the pivotal role of EDD and how it's shaping your consumer's post-purchase journey? Are we really giving enough conscious thought to what that information means on screen? It's vitally important to your consumer, and it really is worth giving kind of real presence of mind to what you're putting on screen. The delivery promise and conversion. How significant a role does your delivery promise play in driving basket conversion upwards? I think the last word there, upwards, is absolutely vital because your delivery promise is impacting your basket conversion. It's just whether it's going up or down. You want to make sure that the practices you're putting in place are helping it go up. AI shopping uses EDD. AI, yeah, it's a famous buzzword, but also it's becoming increasingly essential to what we're doing. 40% of shopping is now happening through agentic means. So AI is reading so much of your information, very much including your EDD. If this isn't displayed in a readable, kind of best-in-class format, then there's a chance you're becoming invisible to your shoppers because AI is just overlooking the offering that you're presenting. And then being able to benchmark what you're doing against world-class standards. Of course, you want to benchmark against your competitors, but ideally you also want to know exactly what's the golden ticket, what are you striving for, and then how close are you to achieving that in some or all of the various metrics. We move on then to exploring, yeah, this where is my order question. So vital to the customer. I'm sure if we ask anybody what their customer service contacts are, Wizmo is always kind of top of the list for that. When it comes to basket conversion and cart abandonment, kind of go hand in hand, a delivery promise, unclear delivery information plays a key role in upwards of 70% of that cart abandonment. So it really is vitally important that this information is displayed correctly to your consumer in a way that they can trust. Three-quarters of your customers expect to see accurate delivery dates before adding a product to a cart. That means it has to be at your product page. Having information at checkout page, whilst valuable, is yeah, it's happening too late for literally three-quarters of your potential shoppers. There's a gap that we've identified. I think I mentioned before, 40% of online retail now happening through or with the assistance of AI agents. Your EDD is vital in how your brand is being picked up on the likes of ChatGPT and Perplexity. So it is important that you're aware of this and then you're making the right steps to make sure you're visible to shoppers. And a key insight, how the data is shown matters more than if it's shown. If you stop listening to everything else I say and take only one sentence away, I think that one is crucial. It's not necessarily about just showing information. It's making sure you're showing it in a way that's accessible to your consumer. It's giving the right expectation. And of course, now in this world, it's being read by AI correctly as well. Next slide brings us on to the first of our lifts, our hyper-specific, being hyper-specific in EDD, the clarity lift. So an opportunity for you to see an improvement just by literally being hyper-specific with what you're showing. You see here, we've got kind of best practices and then what we're seeing commonly across the market. So in a best practice scenario, you want to be showing your customer a single date for the estimated delivery. You then want that date to be a named weekday. And using big crayons, because a lot of customers do need that, you want to show them how many days from now that date is. That will be a lot more valuable to your consumer than the date range that we're all so common and familiar with, omitting specific dates entirely, which is building no trust for the consumer. And it leaves them guessing, which is the last thing you want your customer to be doing. The result of this is 20 to 30% reduction in checkout abandonment and a 15% increase in visibility in AI-powered shopping searches. So it really is important. Be hyper-specific. Of course, you need the data to allow yourselves to do that. The data is out there. The tools exist to make sure that the offer that you give your customer is accurate, but also it's really, really, really specific. The next screen is our urgency lift. This is where we talk about conversion psychology, using this information to help convert those customers every single time. Emphasizing the date visually, make it impactful for your customer. I understand that requires you guys trusting it, and delivery dates are inherently kind of scary for retailers to put it front and center. But if you have the tools there to make it as trustworthy to both yourself and your consumer as possible, then really emphasize that, lean into it. That allows you to also create urgency messaging. No better way to drive conversion rates than by having some urgency that you can explain to your consumer. Order within X hours, receive it on this day. If you can make that front and present for shoppers when they're at the product page versus the checkout page, or ideally throughout the entire experience, you will see, as we've seen, upwards of 9% conversion rate improvement just by emphasizing the details in a much more kind of customer friendly way. The next screen is our loyalty lift. This is building unbreakable trust. Framing your delivery expectation as an estimated arrival. Don't overpromise what you can't achieve. Give the customer the trust in you that you have given thought to what's happening, given thought to who they are. We're deep in the weeds of personalization, making sure that the consumer's experience is localized to that customer. That comes down to delivery as well, making sure that when they change their location for delivery, that impacts their delivery promise. We're very familiar with the delivering to Europe, it'll take 5 to 7 days, but that can't be true of both Paris and Bratislava at the same time. Your customer exists in one of those places and they're very personal to what they want. So your solution likewise needs to be as personal as possible to really build that trust. If you can show the customer you've given them thought and consideration, that trust, that reconversion, that customer retention, it'll go through the roof. The result of this, 87% of customers will choose a retailer with an accurate delivery promise over one that's fast. So accuracy trumps speed 9 times out of 10 when it comes to a delivery expectation. Next screen is testing. Less flamboyant, less romantic, but arguably the most important is the ability for you to test any system you're implementing, do a bit of A/B testing, see what works for you, see what works for your consumers. You might find there's a blend between customer satisfaction, i.e. a slightly longer return or delivery window that you're going to hit every single time, versus a test on conversion. Bring in that window a little bit, make it more tight, more competitive, and that should help drive conversion. That's all well and good. You need to have a system that allows you to test these things and allows you to make those dynamic changes. You can drive a 15% difference in conversion by getting these things right, focusing on how the AI is going to interpret that information as well. That will really, really impact the conversion rate you see with customers, all just by setting the right expectations around delivery, getting that information as far up in the chain as possible, right up to product page, so your consumer knows every single time what's happening. I think Andy's point a minute ago was really valid. We see a drop off between the shipping information screen and the checkout payment screen. That's because a lot of the time that's when the consumer is learning for the first time what the delivery expectation is going to be. If they're informed well ahead of this, then that stage should become a lot less painful for them. And the final screen is something that we'd like to offer to any and all retailers who are interested. And part of what we're doing with IMRG, we're offering a free EDD assessment. And this is where we can look at your offering, we can scan through your website to see what this looks like for our consumer, build you a free assessment based off of the 8 best practices that we've kind of touched on there, show you where you can improve, show you what you're doing in a really strong way already. And yeah, something we'd love to offer to all retailers. There's a QR code. My accent lets me down horribly on QR codes, but you all know what it is. That will bring you to my home address. I'll put the kettle on. More than happy to get into assessments with any and all who are open to it. And that's me. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Gary. You might as well put the link in the chat as well for that.
We'll do it now.
But
Yeah.
and your email as well. Just
And
so
my
people
email, my home address. I'll give you the code to the gate.
get it
Anyway,
all in
you
there.
know,
Go on.
well, thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. Cheers.